This is augforums.com Real Talk. First, thank you to our sponsors, APS Payments, Kenzium, and DataSelf. You can learn more about how our sponsors work with Acumatica by going to augforums.com/sponsors. My name is Tim Rodman, and I'm coming to you live on Monday, November 30th, 2020. This is episode number 33, day one of independent Acumatica consulting. It's just me today, no interview, and I'm recording this in the evening at the end of day one as an independent Acumatica consultant. That's right, I am now an independent Acumatica consultant, and some people out there already thought that I was, but I wasn't. I was working for a VAR up until now, the last couple of years, but as of today, I'm independent. This will be a shorter episode to talk about how I got here and what I'm up to now. So first, let's talk about how I got here. Well, there's two independent reasons for why I decided to go independent. The first reason is COVID. As we are all experiencing right now, our lives are very different than they were a year ago, and we're all having to make adjustments. Back in the spring, when all this started, my wife and I realized pretty quickly that it just wasn't going to work with both of us working full time. So pretty quickly we realized we were going to have to make an adjustment there. And we have two young kids, a third grade daughter who's pretty independent, but then we've got a first grade son who is very energetic. If you've ever watched Winnie the Pooh, he's a lot like Tigger, bouncing around and just full of energy and just needs a lot of attention. So we just realized it wasn't going to work with us both working full-time. My wife works just enough to be full-time and get the medical benefits. My job is more flexible with the consulting. And so pretty early on there, I can't recall if it was April or I might have just burned a bunch of vacation and went part-time in May. Can't recall exactly. But Action Associates, the Acumatica VAR that I was working for, they've been really good to me. They're very flexible, and they accommodated that request to let me go part-time. Months, I was working less than 20 hours a week, and I got into the summer, got towards the end of the summer, and the more I started to look at it, I was just having difficulty doing all the things that you need to do as an Acumatica consultant, knowing all the different areas that you need to know, especially when you then go across multiple editions like the manufacturing edition, the construction edition, sometimes field service is involved, and there's just a lot of things to know about Acumatica. And one of the difficult positions that a VAR is in is that many people who work for a VAR, they wind up being what's known as a jack of all trades, but a master of none, because you just have to get into whatever the client needs across all the different areas of Acumatica. And that was getting really challenging, working less than 20 hours a week, staying up to speed on things. So COVID is really reason number one, and just our family's adjustment to COVID, which has worked out really well, me working part-time, my wife working just enough to get the medical benefits. It was just getting very challenging doing a traditional VAR consulting role at Action Associates. Again, Action's been a great place to work, a great company, very strong leadership, a very no drama type of a place to work for. Takes care of their employees, takes care of their customers. And so it was very difficult for me to sum up the courage to leave that very good situation. But COVID, number one, and completely independent of that, reason number two was that I had always wondered if I could drum up enough work through augforums.com on my own. And the more the months rolled on, and I looked at it and I realized I'm already hourly, essentially, no benefits. And it's not quite an apples to apples comparison to going out and being independent. There's some startup costs involved, but it's a lot easier than going from a full-time job to independent. It just seemed like a good year to do it. And our arrangement with the kids, we've just decided to keep them in the online school for the entire school year rather than constantly be wondering, are we in person, are we online? And so our schedule is basically set until the end of the school year. So it just seemed like a good year to try it. It's a down year anyways. It's kind of a contained explosion, if you will. So I kind of kept tiptoeing up to the edge of the diving board, if you will. And I did give my boss a heads up, probably a little bit over a month before what ended up being my last day. I just felt that was the right thing to do while I was towing the edge of the diving board. And then at a certain point, I decided to go ahead and make the jump and make it official. So my last day at Action Associates was Friday, November 20th. Last week was Thanksgiving. I just took the whole week off and enjoyed the Thanksgiving week here in the United States. And now it's Monday, November 30th. This is the end of the day. So I have survived day one as an independent Acumatica consultant. Describe it two different ways. One, you could say I'm self-employed. Another way, it sort of feels like I'm unemployed. I've never gone skydiving before. I don't have any plans to go skydiving, but this is probably the closest I'll get to jumping out of an airplane. I haven't done it, so I can't compare it exactly, but this experience does feel a little bit like jumping out of an airplane. And you're just hoping, even though you've done a lot of preparation, you're just hoping that the chute will open. So it's definitely a little bit of a scary move, but it's also an exciting move at the same time. And I have been working on augforums.com for over 7 years now. So I've got a lot of connections to you all listening and many more through the website. So I'm definitely optimistic that I'll be able to drum up enough work to make a living at this. Seems like a good year to go for it, and here I am at the end of day one going for it. So what exactly am I doing? First, let me talk about what I'm not doing. I'm not selling software. I'm not a VAR. I'm not building a multi-person company. So I'm just an independent consultant. Second, I'm not doing project management. So I'm not running an implementation end to end. And I'm also not doing 24/7 support. I can't sustain a support model as a single person independent consultant. What I am doing is I'm focusing down to only work with the reporting tools in Acumatica. So that includes dashboards, generic inquiries, pivot tables, report designer, the ARM financial report writer. It will also include third-party reporting tools like Velixo, Excel, Power BI. And I've already been sending out notices that in the forums on augforums.com, I'm going to be focusing the content in those areas. So this will match up with that. And as many of you know, a lot of the content already is focused in these areas because that's the areas that I enjoy the most and I think I'm the best at is these reporting tools in Acumatica. So that's what I'm going to do, is focus in those areas, and rather than be a jack of all trades, I'll just be focused on the reporting tools and continuing to build expertise in that area. Not just knowing what all the check boxes do and all the stuff from a technical side, but hopefully getting more into the thought leadership behind reporting in ERP systems. I firmly believe that lack of good reporting is one of the top reasons why companies change ERP systems. And it's definitely a big pain point when people are switching systems. Well, with Acumatica, everything's new, everything's fresh. We don't hear a lot about that, but eventually that will happen. And my goal is to prevent that from happening, to be able to deliver the reporting with the right tools. And it's always a moving target. It's an ongoing need. Reporting is never satisfied. The more information you give people, the more information they want. So to me, it's an ongoing need in organizations, and that is the thing that I'm going to focus on. Now, in addition to the reporting tools, I am also going to leave things open for what I'm going to call pick my brain phone calls. I get pinged a lot on LinkedIn and by email about just random Acumatica things, just because I've been around Acumatica for quite a while now, over 7 years. And sometimes someone just wants a second pair of eyes on things, or someone to talk something through with. And so I'll also be open to those types of phone calls. Maybe a little bit of follow-up work, but I'm definitely not taking on end-to-end implementations, project management, software. I'm not a VAR. What I'm going to do is do everything on an hourly basis. Everything will be prepaid. All payments will be made electronically. Then you can book time with me using Calendly, which is a way for you to see where my calendar is open, and then it automatically adds a Zoom meeting to the phone call, just to make that as hands-off as possible for me. And then I built out this area that I call my Sherpa. I'm calling myself an Acumatica Sherpa. I'll be writing up some more about that and pushing that out. With this podcast episode is just a way here at the end of day one to kind of get some information out about it. But the My Sherpa portal area is something I've built out that will give you information on the work that I've done for you. Everything down into what I call tasks. A task is defined as something that is 20 hours or less. I'm not taking on projects. I'm taking on tasks. So I'll break any work down into tasks. 1 task, 2 tasks, 3 tasks, whatever it is. I'll give you not to exceed hours on each one of those tasks. So that way you approve up front before I do any work. And then I consume hours against tasks. So you have a nice breakdown of not to exceed hours on each task. Maybe I say, well, how about I spend 4 hours on this one? I can likely finish the task in 4 hours. It might take more, but I'm not going to spend more than 4 hours. I would create a new task to do additional work if needed. So that way you know what you're approving. You know I'm not going to spend more time than you're approving until I come back and say maybe we need another task, or maybe I only spend 3 hours when I thought it would be 4. Then I would only be consuming 3 of your prepaid hours, not 4. So everything would be hourly, and that My Sherpa portal, I'm actually pretty happy with how it's turned out. I dusted off my PHP programming skills from college to build it out, and I think it looks really nice. It's got a nice way of breaking things into tasks, giving you all that information that you need to see rather than just handling everything in email. And then I'm able to document on all of the tasks. It's really like writing a blog post for me. Document the work that I did including screenshots and also including file attachments, like a before and after export report and report designer. That way you have all the backup and all that information right there documented on the task. So I'm not a VAR. I have no contractual relationship with Acumatica. I don't sell software, so I'm not competing with any VARs out there. So that means Acumatica VARs might want to use me for subcontract work. I'm open to that. Acumatica customers can work directly with me. I'm open to both options. Now, for the foreseeable future, I've actually already connected with an Acumatica VAR. That's part of what made the decision final, was knowing that I had enough work lined up for the foreseeable future. But I did want to let everyone know about this big change. So for now, I'm not taking on any new work. I've got plenty on my plate, some subcontract work, but this is a new journey for me as an independent Acumatica consultant. And just wanted to get the word out on this short podcast episode. There'll be more information coming. I'll be writing some blog posts on this and treating augforums.com more and more like a business, because now this is my source of income. So expect hopefully more investment in the blog even, and continuing to do this podcast. I know I've been pretty quiet on the forums. I'm kind of letting things play out with the new Acumatica community forums, but that is definitely not something I'm giving up on. I've got some ideas there and some additional ideas as well. So a little bit of a lull, a lot of back office stuff that I had to take care of the last few weeks. That My Sherpa portal took more time than I expected it to, but I survived day one. I made the jumped off the diving board. I'm free falling at the moment, but optimistic that my parachute will open. I've got plenty of work lined up for the foreseeable future, and now it's time to get to sleep so I can be fresh and ready for day 2 of this journey tomorrow. All right, well, that's it for now. We'll catch you on the next episode of augforums.com Real Talk. Thanks for listening, and take care.